you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
I can hear you.
Good. Well, maybe good. I guess that depends on your point of view.
Alright, flaps are up. Radio set frequencies. Still booting up. Let's see. I'm used to just always having this on alt in Provo, so it's probably fine here.
South Valley 32544, can I get a radio check?
Go check.
Oh, this stays at acquiring and then it goes to the map?
From the north ramp to...
Alright, so frequencies there.
Bravo, South Valley.
Oh, this is reports. Yeah, 134.425 is here. And 122.7, okay. Weather.
Airport. Automated weather observation. 1454 Zulu. Weather. Wind 130 at 7. Visibility 10. Clear below 12,000. Temperature 9 Celsius. Dew point 4. Altimeter 3005.
2 Delta Tango, turning to right base, runway 16 South Valley.
Alright, 3005. That's quite a bit different than last time.
Yep.
Is it this little indicator that I'm going for?
Yep, correct. And each one of those is 0.02, so... I mean 0.2 rather.
Alright. Go back to checklist. And this is still broken. He's ordered it. Heading indicator, transponder, engine gauges.
Tough part is actually not legal for us to fly today. If you don't have a compass even. Between the two, we should technically be a no-go. Remember, if the FAA stops us, it was working before we left.
Nav lights we don't need right now. Landing light. Taxi area. Looks clear. Okay, I'm gonna test my brakes. Okay, your flight controls?
Flight controls. My brakes are working. Have flight controls?
I have flight controls. Alright. And now we're run up, okay. South Valley traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is taxiing from the FBO via taxiway Alpha to runway 16. That one of those Piper Sport?
Yeah, it's a sport cruiser. Piper was originally on board and then they backed out.
72 Bravo is at 7,200 approaching the point of the mountain. I have another aircraft on TCAT coming straight at me. Stay at your elevation, I'll stay high if you would please.
Yeah, you're a good air traffic controller. Yeah, you go with that. Tell other airplanes what altitudes to use for a guy who may not even be on the frequency.
Yeah, the one of the schools that I was renting from had a sport cruiser, and it's just not very much useful load in those at all. Can't even barely get you and the instructor in it.
Yep.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 2 Alpha Tango, coming in for the traffic pattern at
Brickyard, 5,800 feet. We're looking for that crosswind traffic. We're coming behind you on the downwind. We just turned downwind. And roger that. Southbound traffic, suspect 2 Bob Tango, established number 45 to intercept midfield downwind for runway 16, touch and go South Valley. South Valley traffic, cruiser 124 Bravo Foxtrot, FBO ramp, taxiing via Bravo, run up for runway 16, South Valley.
I don't know what the best way to get around him is.
South Valley traffic, Archer 482 Delta Tango, turning right base, runway 16, South Valley.
Kind of right.
South Valley traffic, just 2 Bob Tango entering the downwind for runway 16, touch and go South Valley. South Valley traffic, Archer 482 Delta Tango, turning final, runway 16, touch and go South Valley. South Valley traffic, Bonanza 6672 Bravo is going to enter the traffic pattern on a 45 for right downwind, runway 16, full stop South Valley. We are currently approximately 7 miles to the southwest of the airfield.
Trim is set. Your seatbelt's on. On. Flight instrument. There's no way to adjust that a little bit there on these, is there?
Nope.
Right. These shoes are even a little wide.
Search continues for the right flying
South
shoe.
Valley traffic, Cessna 2 Papa Tango, turning on base, runway 16, South Valley.
Alright, so as far as mixture, do we want to bring it down and set it to the best on this one?
No, because you're going to be you're going to need full mixture for takeoff.
Okay. Magnetos.
Oh, it looks like we didn't foul the plugs this time.
Yep. Vacuum looks good. Oil temperature is good.
Bonanza 6672 Bravo is on a 45. We're 3.1 miles from the field.
Electric fuel pump on. Check fuel pressure, which is, oh, down here. And off. It did jump a little bit, but it stayed the same.
South Valley traffic.
That good?
2 Delta Tango, turning right crosswind, runway 16, South Valley.
Throttle idle.
Bonanza 6672 Bravo, midfield, downwind, runway 16, full stop, South Valley.
South Valley 32544, holding short of 16. We'll be taking the runway for immediate departure.
Emergency briefing is if we're
Traffic, Archer 482 Delta Tango, turning right downwind, runway 16, South Valley.
if we're below 1,000 feet, so 50 or 5,700, We'll just go straight or to the side to land if we have an engine problem. If we're above that, we'll turn around. If we have an engine problem on the runway, we'll just stop.
Okay.
Alright, so we're going to leave it on the left tank.
Bravo, final runway 16.
Engine gauges are all good. We'll do one set of flaps today. I'm trying to alternate it so I get a feel for it. Transponder is on alt, doors are latched. Okay, 75 is rotate and 90 is VX. 100 is VY. And I'm going to remember to call out all the landing gear stuff today.
All right.
Victor 482 Delta Tango, turning right base, runway 16 South Valley. Bonanza 6672 Bravo, cleared active at exit 3, taxi to the hangar.
Where are we gonna, we can go towards 12?
Hold on a second. That last transmission was carrier only, no voice.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 2000 Tango on the right downwind runway 16 South Valley. South Valley 32544 is turning right crosswind 16 South Valley.
You overshot.
Yeah, that's dangerous, huh? Way overshot.
Yep.
That's where people stall.
South Valley traffic, Victor 482 Delta Tango, turning final, runway 16, touch and go, South Valley.
South Valley 32544 is turning downwind for 16 South Valley.
So after this guy, you've got a guy who's just about to turn base, another guy on downwind, another guy on the upwind, it looks like.
We'll just pull the parking brake for a minute.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 2000 Tango, base, runway 16, full stop South Valley.
Yeah, he's about to turn final here. That same guy, I think. I was doing that in a plane I was renting, and I finally figured out that I had both channels tuned to the same one.
Oh.
And that's what was causing
Yeah,
it.
sometimes that'll screw you.
And both of them on, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That guy looks like he's crabbing in or overshot too a little.
South Valley 32544 is turning base for 16, touch and go.
This guy said he's full stop.
There's a guy right here. He's pretty low over here.
Yeah, he is. Oh, that guy just ballooned like crazy.
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 90 X-ray, 2 miles south of the field, 6,000 feet, southbound, South Valley.
South Valley traffic, Victor 482 Delta Tango, turning right, crosswind, runway 16, South Valley.
South Valley 32544 is final 16, touch and go.
He overshot too.
Yep. Which is interesting because that windsock says the wind's out of the southeast, so if anything they should be turning and the wind's blowing them back.
South Valley traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie's holding short runway 16.
Valley traffic, Cessna 2 Papa Tango, clear of runway 16, taxiing to North Hangars via Bravo. Sorry.
South Valley traffic, Hunter 482 Delta Tango,
We're good
right
after
down
him.
runway 16, South Valley.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is taking off on runway 16, South Valley.
South Valley traffic, cruiser 124 Bravo Foxtrot, holding short runway 16, South Valley.
Full stop or not?
Good question. There he goes.
South Valley traffic, Hunter 482 Delta Tango, turning right base, runway 16, South Valley. South Valley traffic, Hunter 482 Delta Tango, turning final, runway 16, touch and go, South Valley.
South Valley 22544 is turning crosswind 16, South Valley.
Gear up. There's a fine line between 32 and 35, isn't there?
Yeah.
South Valley 32544, turning downwind for 16, South Valley.
South Valley, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning right, crosswind for runway 16, South Valley. A little bumpy today.
Yeah.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning right downwind for runway 16. Gonna exit the pattern on the downwind, heading north.
South Valley traffic, 482 Delta Tango, going around runway 16. South Valley traffic, cruiser 124 Bravo Foxtrot, taking 16 straight.
Probably should have taken that flap out earlier.
That's alright. As long as you remembered it before you left the traffic pattern.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is exiting the pattern on the downwind at 5,600, heading northwest towards Magna area.
South Valley 32544 is base for 16, South Valley.
South Valley traffic, Hunter 482 Delta Tango, turning right crosswind for runway 16, South Valley.
Landing light off. Normally fuel pump, but no.
Yeah.
South Valley 32544 is final 16, touch and go.
So normally the volts is in the 20s, right?
It shouldn't be. No, this is a 14-volt system.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's actually a 12-volt system, so with the alternator on, it's kicking out 14 volts. Some airplanes have a 24-volt system, but that's not super common in GA.
Okay.
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 71 Juliet, taxiing to runway 16, run up runway 16 via Alpha, via Bravo.
I still think that's weird that
it takes that long.
GPS not responding. Check GPS antenna. That makes me wonder if you got something going on, something disconnected, or if this needs to be re-racked or something. They're pretty good.
South Valley traffic, Archer 482 Delta Tango, turning right base, runway 16, South Valley.
South Valley traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is at 5,800 feet over Magna, heading northwest.
South Valley, 32544, turning crosswind 16, South Valley.
All right. So as far as autopilot goes, I want you to at least show me a little bit of that.
Okay.
Sometime.
Yeah. So we can talk about that on the way out.
Okay.
So you'll notice on that left-hand side that says roll.
Right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the one next to it says heading.
Yep.
Okay. So the one where
Yeah, Cessna 2 Papa Tango, can we get a field check to Charlie 7, please?
where it's completely rubbed off.
Right here.
South
Yeah,
Valley.
that is actually ALT for altitude.
Okay.
And then that far right is the pitch. So those 4 sets of buttons work in conjunction with each other. So
Okay.
here, I'll tell you what, I have flight controls so
All
that
right.
you don't have to, you can just look at what I'm telling you.
You have flight
I
control.
have flight controls. Okay, so those 2 left ones obviously control, like, basically roll, right?
So it keeps you level.
Yeah, and those 2 right ones control pitch. So what you can do is you can engage the roll button by itself.
And that's the on-off,
Yep,
right?
so if you click that thing on right now, and you can also engage the pitch on that
Right here?
far right. Yep. So now if you use the roll button, you can actually turn the airplane with the roll button. Okay, turn it right, turn it left, right?
Okay.
And then you can control the pitch with the pitch knob right here, right? So if you center that thing up, and then you can pitch the nose down by rolling forward, pitch the nose up by rolling back, okay?
Okay.
So all that's doing is just manually controlling the airplane as if you were controlling the yoke.
Okay.
Now you can add some sophistication to it by engaging some sort of mode. So what we can do now is if we center up the heading bug.
32544 is turning
Let me make a call here.
base for 16, touch and go, South Valley.
Let's see. South Valley traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is at the Garfield stack at 6,000, last call. All right.
So now if there's a mode controller right here, so you can see heading, omni, nav, loc, normal, and loc back course, right?
Yeah.
So if you engage that heading mode, HDG.
I want to set this first though, right?
Sure.
It'll go to that one.
Supposedly, there's a lot of slop in this autopilot. It's very old, it doesn't work great. And if you get it up to the altitude that you want, you can also engage the ALT and it will hold that altitude for you. So now it's in heading mode and altitude hold mode, okay?
Okay.
So right now it'll fly that heading. You'll see there's a lot of slop in it.
Yeah.
Both for pitch and roll. I mean, it works, it doesn't work great.
Let me make a call real quick.
Yep, go ahead.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie's at the Garfield stack at 6,000, heading west.
So if we go direct to
5 miles out.
So if I want to turn this, I just turn the heading.
Yep.
Heading bug. Yeah, it's not very smooth, is it?
No. Okay, so I gave it direct to Tooele right now.
Okay.
So supposedly we should be able to switch this over into either Omni or Nav mode, and it should turn and follow that line. So go ahead and switch that thing over to Nav or Omni, and supposedly it should start turning. It also should not be climbing us right now at 1,000 feet a minute.
Yeah.
So really you can see the autopilot does not work great. I mean, in a normal autopilot, as soon as you go to Nav or Omni mode, it should turn left, capture this heading, and fly it, right?
Yeah.
So that's up to you. That's basically kind of, it looks like it's trying to turn a little bit in Omni mode.
Okay.
So Omni is basically the old VOR stuff, right? But it should still just chase a needle, whatever input it's getting.
And it's this is connected to that.
Correct.
That's to that.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
it does this with the altitude, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not great. But so you can see you have to engage either a roll or a heading mode. So go ahead and click this off to turn everything off.
Click what off?
This autopilot disconnect, just turn off the autopilot. See how all the switches just went to off?
Oh, okay.
So it's impossible for you to say heading and it won't work. You have to engage the roll and the pitch mode before you can engage either the altitude hold or fly me a heading or nav course or whatever.
Okay.
All right, does that make sense?
Yep.
And if none of that's working at all, you may have turned off your electric pitch trim.
Oh, okay.
So that's the electric pitch trim off and on button.
For this.
Yep. But it also, that electric trim is what drives the autopilot. So if the autopilot's not engaging at all, that's the reason why.
Gotcha.
So my advice to you would be probably just fly it with the heading indicator and maybe the altitude hold mode on calm days, and it'll take some of the load off, but it's not going to be great.
6,500, 10 miles to north of field, inbound on the practice
Let me get the weather here.
04. Use caution for skydiving activities between sunrise and sunset.
Tooele Valley Airport. Automated weather observation. 152. Zulu. Weather. Wind. Calm. Visibility. 10. Clear. Below. 12,000. Temperature. 10.
Traffic at
1.
678 Tango Alpha, 14 miles northwest of the field, maneuvering on the west side of Stansbury at 8,000.
Tooele traffic, arrow 28 Mike Charlie is 5.5 miles northeast of the field at 5,700 heading south. We're going to come into the pattern.
It looks like somebody's landing on 17.
Yeah, it looks
based on this. Usually calm winds 3.5, but we also do have a guy coming in on the ILS, it sounds like.
Yeah, I can see him on there too.
You guys using 17 today?
Yeah, winds are on 17.
I assume we're going in.
Yeah. It was funny when we were sitting on the ground.
Altimeter 068 left, downwind 17, departing to the north, Tooele.
When we were on the ground in South Valley, I was looking at the traffic over here in Tooele and it was empty, which is another nice ADS-B feature that I can look at traffic out in Tooele before I've left the ground.
Mike, 5 miles out on the practice ILS. We'll be breaking off early to the east, or the west. Tooele.
I see him on the downwind.
Yeah, I see him now. Tooele traffic, Arrow 2A Mike Charlie is about 3 miles west of the field, or east of the field. Gonna come in on a 45 for left downwind for runway 17.
I always keep my left hand back there to try and get my shoulder out of your way while you're trying to work on stuff, and then my left hand, like my right hand is fine, my left hand is like frozen.
Alright, jumps, we're gonna leave it on this tank for now. We'll switch it next time.
Okay.
And undercarriage, probably wait till we start entering the 45.
Yeah, maybe even on the downwind, it's up to you, but yeah, this is a little far out for gear.
I'll prop full forward. And switches and seatbelts, landing lights on. Tooele traffic, Arrow 2A Mike Charlie is entering the 45 for the downwind, left downwind for 17.
Tooele traffic, taxi 2 Mike is going, breaking off early, going mid south to the west. Tooele.
Alright, landing gear. Looking for the 3 green. And we have 3 green. One notch of flaps. Do you see any of those guys?
I don't.
Traffic on the ILS, what's your position?
That guy just broke off, so.
Taxi Mike, we broke off early. We're headed to the north, and we're actually headed back to Salt Lake now. Tooele.
Thanks. Tooele, commuter 068, we're about 5 miles to the north, headed northwest, 6,000.
Tooele traffic, Arrow 2A Mike Charlie is turning left base for runway 16, touch and go. Sorry, runway 17. Okay, 3 in the green, gear down.
Tooele traffic, Sports Cruiser 135 Bravo Foxtrot, 10 miles to the north at Stansbury Island, southwest bound, 8,500. Tooele. Tooele, Cessna 1788 Tango, 10 to the northwest, 7,200 descending pattern altitude, like to join the pattern. Tooele.
Giving it a little bit more power because I think I'm a little low.
Yeah, but our airspeed's also a little fast, so we could change a little bit of altitude for airspeed, right?
Yeah.
Pull the nose up just a tiny bit. Some of the speed off and get some of the altitude back. You're right, she's settling in, she's sinking pretty good. Hey, 3 green over the fence.
Yep.
Nice job.
All right. We're positive rate climb, no more runway. Gear up. Climbing at 90. Lights off.
Commuter 068, we're coming up on the evaporation pond south of Stansbury, maneuvering 6000, Twila.
Twila traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left crosswind for 17. I'm going to start slowing it down a little. Twila traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left downwind for 17.
Cessna 1788 Tango, 5 to the northwest over I-80. We'll follow I-80
Okay,
towards
gums
the east.
check, so we're going to switch tanks now. Undercarriage, we're under the speed. Watching for 3 green lights. We got 3 green, gear down.
Hey, what a cruddy day. You just had an engine failure.
Alright.
Twila traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is short approach 17, simulated engine out, modified left base to final 17.
Twila traffic, Cherokee 71 Juliet, just east of the evaporation pond, 6,500.
Yeah, it drops fast.
Yes, it does.
Twila traffic, 272 Mike is approximately 12 miles northeast of the field.
I can slow down a little bit. Best glide is 75, I believe.
That sounds a little too slow to me.
Oh, really?
East of the evap pond.
I might be wrong, but yeah, see what I'm talking about?
We'll be headed
Things
to the
just
east
a
of
brick.
Stansbury Island.
Go ahead and add some power.
We're about that same spot. We'll stay at 6,000. We're holding right here.
And let's just do a go around.
Gear down.
Let's go ahead and just do a go around.
Okay.
We got to practice that anyway. We haven't done one of those, I don't think.
Twila traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is doing a go around run on 17.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pull that gear up.
Twila traffic, Skyhawk, or Tecnam 248 Tango Alpha, 20 miles northwest of the field, west side
Yeah,
of
that drops
Stansbury,
fast.
eastbound.
Yeah, you basically have to immediately turn for the runway. Just point the nose right at the runway numbers as soon as you have that engine failure in order to make it.
So Cessna 1788 Tango directly north of the field, 5,300. We're circling east of the field, join left, downwind 17, Twila.
Let's take a look at that best glide.
Yeah, that's what I was going to look up here.
It says 79.
79, okay,
yeah.
So 80. Now wait to turn. Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left crosswind for runway 17.
Cherokee 1600, about 4 miles east of the Stansbury Island, 6,500. Traffic that was also in this area. Where you put you guys at?
Cessna 1788 Tango is directly over Stansbury right now, circling a little farther south to be joining a 45 on left downwind 17.
Twilla commuter 068, ready to be evaporation pond at 6,000, holding Twilla.
Landing light on. Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's on left downwind for 17. Traffic 1 o'clock, huh?
That's that guy who's entering the traffic pattern. Okay, here comes your engine failure again. Total traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's a short approach, runway 17, modified left base to final, simulated engine failure 17. So pitch that nose up to 80. Any faster, any slower is going to bite you, right?
Oh yeah, I was thinking 90 for some reason. You're right.
Okay, and just do your best to hold 80. So this is what I wanted you to get a feel for, that even on the left downwind, you may not be able to make your runway, which is pretty disconcerting, but this thing has the glide ratio of a brick.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just going down.
Yep.
So let's go and add power.
Cessna 1788 Tango approaching the field from the east at a 45 to left downwind 17 Twilla.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's doing a go around for runway 17. Yeah, that just drops.
Yes, so
even at the best glide speed.
Yes, and so that's what I wanted you to really experience. In this airplane down low, you are not going to have a lot of time. I mean, under 1,000 feet, you talked about we're going to turn back to the field at 1,000 feet. Probably not in this airplane.
Oh, yeah. That's true. So probably more like 1,500.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe even 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's definitely why I wanted you to experience that and see what it's like. I mean, it's a pretty disconcerting feeling to be on that base and just watching the ground go whoop, and you're like, there's nothing I can do. I mean, I could maybe pull my gear up and glide it a little bit further, but then do I have enough time to put it back down again? Maybe not. I mean, really, the only thing that you might be able to do is pull the propeller lever back and try and get it to feather a little bit.
Not so much resistance.
Yeah. Even then, that's not going to do much. It might help. If we were in a true emergency, I would do it. You know what I mean? And I'd still try and make the runway if I could.
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's turning left crosswind for 17. Yeah, that's
1788 Tango, left base, 17 Twilla.
Really, really different. It just drops.
And that's just with 2 people on board. So if you got your wife and a couple of your adult kids in the back, you know, this thing's not going to glide well at all. So it should kind of, you know, change your mindset about how you approach power off landing situations. And that's also why you can see why I advise keeping power in this airplane all the way down into the flare, basically, because without power, this thing's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Twilla, Cessna 1788 Tango, final 17 Twilla.
Yeah, definitely, and maybe even a tighter pattern.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Prop or undercarriage, we're looking for 3 green. Got 3 green, prop full forward, landing lights on, seat belts are on.
I ruined our power off landing fun. Not that we were having much fun doing
Where
that.
is he?
T-tail Aero 4, he's on very short final. He's just crossing the threshold.
I'm under flap speed, so I'm going to pull flap.
I mean, even these base to final turns, right? We may not want to extend too terribly far out, because if we have an engine failure even on base, I think at this point we'd be hard-pressed to make the runway.
Yeah. 2 traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie is turning base for 17.
One of those things that's hard too, because you tell the FAA I had an engine failure on base, and they're like, why didn't you make the runway then? And you're like, have you flown a T-tail Aero 4? They're like, maybe you should fly a tighter pattern. And you're like, well, I guess so. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Total traffic, Cessna 1788 Tango is clear of the active on Alpha 4 Twilla.
Twilla traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie is turning final for runway 17, touch and go.
Twilla, Cessna 1788 Tango on Alpha, taxiing back 17 Twilla.
Yeah, so I had to rest that sync rate with a little power right here. We're a little too high, we've transitioned to a little too low, now going way. Good job with that crosswind correction at that last minute, holding that wing down.
Thanks. Trying to remember what you taught me about that.
Yeah.
Getting it practice is another thing though, you know?
That's always the truth. I know how it's theoretically supposed to work. Let's see how it works in practice. Yeah, a lot of instructors don't teach their primary students to look at the windsocks. Do you look at windsocks as you're coming in on final?
No, I don't, actually.
Let's, you know, obviously we're looking at a lot of stuff. We're looking at our threshold, we're looking at our approach path and everything.
1788 Tango on Alpha 6, taking on the active 17 Twilla.
Sneak a peek at that windsock. They always put them on the left side of the runway for the pilot. How thoughtful of them, right? Give you a lot of good information.
It's always in the center, right?
Not in the center. It's actually just off the approach ends of each runway.
Oh, okay.
It's not a terribly strong crosswind, but it is there.
Twilla traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie is turning left crosswind, runway 17.
Cessna 1788 Tango on the go 17. We'll be departing westbound Twilla.
Twilla traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie is left downwind for 17. Alright, we'll switch tanks again. And then undercarriage, we're under the speed. We got 3 green.
Oh, there's not much doubt there. They really locked down with a clunk this time.
Yeah, felt that.
Bonk. Alright, that dude bailed on us. Let's try this again. Total traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie is a short approach from runway 17, simulated engine out, modified left base to final.
Cessna 1788 Tango turning right, crosswind 17, we're departing northwestbound Twilla.
Yeah, good.
I think I'm going to make it, so I'm going to pull a flap.
Yep, tighter pattern, much better job. Okay, nothing too crazy steep, alright, just like you're doing.
Twilla traffic, Turkey 71 Juliet is north of Stansbury Mountain, 6,200.
Just maintain that energy by keeping that nose down, okay? Good. Nice job. Excellent. Excellent. Nice job, Jason. Well done. Well done. Gotta manage that energy though. You got it's weird, but you gotta keep that nose down just like you were doing. Otherwise you'll run out of airspeed and you go to flare and there's nothing left. You're doing that instinctually. Nice job. I wanted you to get one full power off one so that you could see. You don't have a ton of time. You gotta manage that airspeed and that energy.
Okay, gears up. Man, there's just there's so little of a difference with the throttle between 30 and 35 manifold pressure.
Yeah, I mean, so redline's like 42, so usually on most days you won't need it, but if you do need it, you can give it to yourself, especially if you're heavy on a hot day.
Okay.
I just don't really see a reason when it's just you and I and we're doing some training to get it ripping up that high, especially when we're in the traffic pattern. But, you know, it is available to you should you need it.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is turning left crosswind for 17. Yeah, that's a good to feel how far that glides and makes me think I just need to do tighter patterns, you know?
Yep, probably a good idea in this airplane.
And I'm sweating again.
Are you?
I should have taken my jacket off.
My left hand is like freezing.
You're working me, that's why.
We'll give you a good checkout. Make you feel real comfortable in this airplane.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is left downwind, runway 17. Okay, gumps, I'm not going to switch that, do undercarriage.
Traffic, Cessna 1788 Tango, 4 miles to the northwest field, 6,800 climbing. We're departing northwest bound. Twilla.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie's turning left base, runway 17. Okay, gears not on. Got that, we're waiting for that. We got, and I felt them go down, so we got in the green.
All right.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is turning final for runway 17, touch and go.
See how much drag that gear adds?
Yeah.
So you were flying a normal pattern, but the gear hadn't come down yet, and so now you're really high. It's just a major example of how much that gear adds to your drag profile.
Why doesn't it do that much on the Aero and stuff? And it's always down.
Well, you got to consider all the additional weight and everything. They've tried and streamlined some of the fairings, but it's hard to know, because with an Archer, if you were able to pull the gear up, you might find that, wow, this thing's way draggier with the gear down than up. You're just used to it, you know?
Yeah.
So see the sock on the left-hand side? Yep. Telling you just the tiniest bit of right cross. Right.
want that gear up so you can get climb performance.
You're exactly right. I mean, and once you're out of usable runway, which happens pretty quick when you're doing 95 knots, right?
Yeah.
I mean, once you rotate and climb out, unless you got a 10,000 foot runway, you're probably not going to make the runway if the engine fails. You know what I mean? So positive rate, we're out of usable runway, gear comes up as quick as you can, because altitude is options, especially in this airplane, right? I mean, if the engine fails here, we're just basically a little right turn or a little left turn, and we're going in. It's not going to take long. We're going to be on the ground in a matter of moments. As a matter of fact, if the engine fails here, we're going to immediately slap the gear down, and hopefully it fully extends by the time we're touching the ground.
12 traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is on left crosswind, runway 17. Traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is on left downwind, runway 17.
A nice tight pattern this time.
Yep.
So Cessna 1788 Tango, 10 miles northwest, 8,500, departing to Wendover,
right.
Last call, Twilla.
Not going to switch the tanks this time, next time I will.
Okay.
Gear, we're under the speed, so bring that down. Watching for 3 green, which we are not getting.
Okay. Let's pretend like we don't know what's going on. So what would you do?
I would manually.
We're in the traffic pattern. Oh, you just went straight to it. All right. 1, 2, 3 green.
1, 2, 3 green.
Okay, that works.
Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie's turning left downwind, runway 17. All right. Pull flap, 2 flaps. Twilla traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is turning final for runway 17, touch and go. Just when you think you're just right, it drops.
She's a heavy beastie.
I need to do better at calling out the greens. I'm looking at them, I'm just not saying anything.
Right.
Oh, oh. Ah. Well, there's my bad landing.
It's like you got tired of it and you're like, I'm just landing, bam! So in that case, we got into that ground effect, all that drag went away, and so that power was just enough to keep us floating and floating and floating. So if anything, I probably would have just pulled that power back just a little bit and she would have settled on you.
All right, rudder.
Alright, let's do one more. We don't want to end pattern work on that bad note. They've all been pretty good up until that one.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, so in the past we've talked about if we have a gear malfunction in the traffic pattern.
Yes. Oh, get altitude.
Yeah, you may want to leave the traffic pattern, gain some altitude, try and figure out your problem, right? You managed to get them down just fine. That's fine. You're kind of expecting it today, right? Because you know that I'm gonna be monkeying with your gear on you.
Yeah.
In real life, it's gonna be more like a wait, what? You know, one of those like, oh crap, like this feels like a legit deal.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of worried. What's going on? So you've got that little bit of fear and anxiety mixed in with, you know. Today we've got an empty traffic pattern. We may be looking for other traffic, talking to ATC if it's a towered field. So it's up to you, but I'd really, if you really don't know what's going on with your gear, you may want to eliminate as many distractions as you can and get away from the ground and try and troubleshoot it at altitude and see if you can figure out what's going on with it.
Actually, it's been down the whole time. I was wondering why I wasn't climbing. I didn't reset that.
It's up.
Oh,
yeah. You got all your lights extinguished, so it went up.
Oh, and once I bring it up, then it goes back to the auto.
You got it. Well, it doesn't go back to auto, but it pressurizes the system, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm good, and it pulls it back up again.
Okay.
I pushed your circuit breaker back in, so the pump goes brrr, runs again. It's like, okay, yeah, I've got pressure, I'm good.
Twillo traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie's on left downwind, runway 17. Alright, I'm under the speed, gear down. I'm actually going to switch tanks this time. Got 3 green. And then lights are on, seatbelts on, props full forward. Twillo traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie's turning left base for runway 17.
Twillo traffic 40670, roughly about 11 miles north of the airport on the iOS runway 17 approach to Twillo.
Twillo traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie's left base for runway 17. Twillo traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie is turning left final for runway 17. There's no left final, I guess.
That is a good point. That's interesting. Got your approach lights, but no pappies.
So 3 down, or gear down, 3 in the green. Kinda wanna bleed off some speed.
Looks like you're right on the glide path.
Gears down. Like the wind's right down the runway a little bit. Sideways touch.
There we go.
Yeah, that was better. Doesn't feel like it's
you pull that mixture back.
Oh.
There we go, see? I don't know if you hooked it with your finger or what.
Yeah, maybe I did.
It's good that you're paying attention to that stuff when you're like, hey, that doesn't sound right. If I'm not on board, they can immediately say, hey, your mixture's pulled back and you should just abort that, right? Something doesn't feel right. Pull the power back, abort. Rather than taking an airplane that's limping into the air.
Okay, gears up.
Let's exit off the crosswind leg. Okay. So we'll just stay on the east bench for a little bit.
Twillo traffic, Aero 2A Mike Charlie's turning left crosswind, runway 17. We're going to exit the pattern on the crosswind, head east.
We need to do 3.7 over the next 2 to 3 days?
3.2.
3.2, okay.
North on the IOS 17 approach to Wall.
What time is it right now?
It is 10 o'clock.
Tula traffic, Aero 2, Mike Charlie's exiting the pattern on the crosswind, runway 17, heading east, 5,300.
Let's climb up to 6,500.
Yeah, you have flight controls for a minute while I take my jacket off.
Sounds good.
Remember, take that jacket off.
It's harder in the morning to remember that when it's a little chilly on the pre-flight.
Alright, I have flight controls.
You have flight controls.
You want to head?
Yeah, we'll just stay east-west over here. We just want to make sure we're well above the traffic that might be entering on that 45.
Tula traffic, Aero 28 Mike Charlie is 3.5 miles west or east of the field at 6,300, climbing to 6.5, heading north.
Traffic, Archer 40670 is 3 miles north on the IOS 17 approach to Wall.
That's one of my trainer planes.
What was it? Out of South Valley?
Yep. 40670 and 8750 Echo.
Is over the evaporation pond, 5,000 maneuvering.
Guys, radio sucks.
Yep.
Okay, Jason, let's run through a couple of scenarios here just to make you feel nice and comfortable in here.
Okay.
Let's pretend like all of a sudden we hear some smoke or see some smoke and stuff coming out from underneath the engine cowling. What do we do?
First thing is probably, if I smell smoke, open the vents, turn the gas off, and then throttle and mixture all the way down and go land.
Okay. What does your checklist say?
Engine fire. So fuel selector off, throttle closed, mixture, idle cut off, fuel pump off, heater and defroster off.
Okay, so why would they turn the heater and defroster off?
So you don't get smoke in the cabin.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you remember, you're going to be a little bit like panicky when that happens. So your first instinct is to be like, oh, I got a huge problem. So best thing to do, just to keep your mind clear, is to go to that checklist. Have you ever shut off the fuel in a Piper product? Like, have you ever tried to move that selector to off?
When we're on the ground, no, I haven't. So, I think I did.
So can you see forward? There's a little silver tab right there.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't realize this, but that's a safety switch that prevents you from accidentally shutting it off. Let's turn around to the south. It actually prevents you from shutting it off by accident. So when you go to do that and you keep trying to go to off and it won't go to off, you have to push in that little silver button before it'll go all the way to off.
Oh, okay.
Let's practice that on the ground. This is the thing that I notice this about a lot of students. They tell me what to do and I say, okay, so how does that work? And we'll be sitting in the airplane on the ground. I'm like, shut the fuel off, show me how to do that. And they can't figure out how to do it. And that's when they're sitting on the ground without a real engine fire happening, right?
Yeah.
So remind me before we get out of the airplane to practice that, just so that we can see what that looks like on the ground, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, good. Yeah, how about in the other direction? All of a sudden we smell kind of burning plastic. We're getting some smoke underneath the panel here that's kind of rising up. What do we do?
Well, you look, so the checklist is electrical fire in cockpit.
Good.
Source of fire, check to see if you can see where it is. If you know where it is, turn it off or pull the fuse to get it off.
Yeah, in this case, it's just coming out from behind the panel. We can't really tell where.
I would just turn all the electrical off.
Yeah, so that's what it says. Battery master switch off, alternator switch off.
Vents open, cabin heat off.
Good. Do we have a fire extinguisher in this airplane?
Not that I know of. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen one either. There's not one strapped down by your left leg? Nope. They're usually either between the seats or strapped down by the pilot's left leg. That's a good thing to know too. Maybe something you and Jay might want to talk about. Hey man, it's going to cost us like $50 to throw a fire extinguisher in here. Are you game for that? $25 a piece? That's pretty cheap insurance, right?
Yeah.
And then you just check it for, you just have to check it once a year. Take it into most AMPs don't have the certification to recertify them.
Yeah.
You just take them into their fire specialty places once a year, and they'll check them, and then every 5 years they have to do a hydrostatic test on them or something like that. Pretty cheap stuff. I just did one for the hangar. It was $15 to get it checked.
Yeah, that's cheap for fire extinguishers. So.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you can buy a fire extinguisher for $50. Actually, they may be a little more expensive because if you decide to buy one, you're going to want to buy a Halon one or something similar to it. You don't want the dry stuff. Otherwise, it fills the whole cabin with white powder.
Oh, I see.
Ask me how I know.
You've done it.
I had the owner's boneheaded brother who was just a moron climbing around in the back of the airplane. He kicked the fire extinguisher and shot it off. And it flew dry ABC stuff all over the airplane. It took me hours to vacuum it all up. The real bugger was about 2 months later, we had to overhaul the gyros.
Oh, because I got all the stuff in it.
Got in there and
gunked it up.
Gunked up the gyros. We had to overhaul the gyros. So you have to buy the specialty airplane stuff that's not dry. It's a special chemical one, but still, in my opinion, it's worth it. Knock on wood, I hope I never have an electrical fire. It is, I mean, that would be some scary stuff, right?
Yeah. I just listened to a podcast of a guy that almost burnt to death in a, it started with the electrical and his high pressure hydraulic caught on fire and it came up underneath him.
Oh man, that is freaky.
In a T6.
Freaky, no thank you. I hope I never experience that. Okay, so let's say we look over here at the prop RPM and all of a sudden it just kind of goes wow, all the way up to like 28 or 2900 RPM.
So my guess on that, my guess before I look here is that something's gone wrong with the fuel or the pressure of the oil.
Okay.
Right, in the prop. So loss of oil pressure. Let's see.
We have a runaway prop or a governor failure on that checklist. Might be in the abnormal rather than emergency. No, doesn't look like it.
Propeller overspeed.
Okay, good.
Okay, so retard the throttle. Oil pressure, check it. Propeller control full increase.
So it says full.
Oh, decrease.
Full decrease, and then
set. See if it changes.
Yes, then set if any control is available. So you're going to pull the throttle all the way back so the engine doesn't keep driving the propeller, right? We're going to check the oil pressure and see if that's an issue. If the oil pressure's dropped off, we're bailing, right? We're going to go land immediately. Then we're going to pull the propeller lever all the way back, try and reset it, and then bring it forward, see if we've got any control. Let's spin around back to the north. And then we're going to slow the airplane down because sometimes us going through the air can actually drive that propeller. You've experienced that, right?
Yeah.
Where you pull the power back and then push the nose down and gravity and air flowing through that propeller speeds the propeller up. So we're going to slow the airplane down and try and prevent the airplane from the wind from windmilling the propeller on us. And then we're going to use the throttle, whatever we can, to maintain 2,700 RPM. What's the risk of overspeeding a propeller?
Ruining the engine.
Ruining the engine, potentially ruining the propeller too. I mean, those tips, there's a reason they're limited to 2,700 RPM. Those are just under subsonic on the tips at 2,700 RPM. So So if they start spitting up 28, 29, 3,000 RPM, all of a sudden we're getting those tips supersonic. And you start bending metal and all kinds of bad stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
So it's a pretty serious deal. That's one of the checklists you may want to keep in your mind about, okay, what do I do? You know, it's a possibility.
Yeah. Okay. Move some of those up to the top.
Yeah, potentially, sure. Let's see. Let's say you've got, since we turned on the autopilot today, let's say all of a sudden you've got the autopilot on, it's doing an okay job, and all of a sudden it just violently pitches up and starts climbing. What do we do?
First pitch, or push this and disengage it.
Excellent. What if that doesn't work?
Pull the thing, which we can't, I think we looked at.
Yeah, pitch trim right there. It is.
Okay.
We can pull that one.
Pull that one. We could turn these switches off.
Switches off. We could try and turn the electric pitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways to try and turn that off.
Okay.
I just wanted to show all of those to you, right?
Okay.
Okay. Let's start heading back.
Okay.
We did some engine out emergencies. We did engine fires, electrical fires. We talked about prop runaway. We did gear stuff, including an emergency gear down, which you did in the pattern. So yeah, I just wanted to run through a bunch of abnormal and emergencies through with you on this thing. Do you have any questions about any of those things that we just talked about or did?
No. Oh yeah, let me ask you about this. So if I have an engine out and I know I'm not going to make any field or road, and I'm going down in a field, is it better to put the gear down or leave them up?
That is a tough call. And
I know if there's power lines, you want to not put them down.
So
in your area,
if you can land parallel to the furrows, I would leave the gear down, like a field or something.
Yeah.
Because I do want the gear to absorb some of that crash energy. You know, if I rip the gear off or if it folds up underneath me, that's more energy that's transferred into the airframe of the engine and less that's transferred into me as a warm pink body, right?
Yeah.
And so, ideally, I'd love to have the gear down, but if you feel like it's going to be a soft area like mud or snow, or you know how they have the furrows in the field, if you can't get around so that you're landing parallel to those furrows and you're going to be across them, your risk of flipping just goes through the roof. So,
Well, traffic, Turkey 71 Juliet is over the evaporation pond, headed east towards South Valley, climbing to 5,800.
That guy right there is on her.
That's the SkyWest. Which one are you looking at?
No, the guy that was talking is over here, but
yeah, that SkyWest guy is 5,600 feet above us. If you feel like it's going to be soft and you're going to flip, I would leave the gear up.
Okay.
Because then you can slide along that stuff instead of having the gear catch and roll you over. Like if you were to ditch, I'd probably leave the gear up to ditch because I don't want my gear to catch me and cartwheel me or flip me. I'd rather just belly it in with no gear. If it was a snowy, muddy field, or like I said, it was rocky and I was afraid that it was going to catch the gear and flip me, because once you cartwheel or flip, that's bad. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that a lot of people don't survive. But sliding along in your belly, that works great. So it's a tough call. If it's reasonably hard, I'd leave the gear down. If you felt like you were going to flip or cartwheel, I'd leave the gear up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is at 6,400, almost just west of the Garfield stack, heading eastbound. Every time I take friends up, almost every time they always ask me, let's go fly through the canyon or the mountains. I'm like, no, not today. If it was calmer. That's what everybody always wants to do. They want to get close to the mountain.
That's true, especially in the fall. Let's go up the canyons and...
Twilla traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is at the Garfield stack at 6,100. Last call, eastbound. looking to see if that one does the message.
Looking to see if maybe I'd missed something like setting it as an alarm, but...
Kind of switch tanks right now.
Okay.
Traffic, Cessna 291 for X-ray, established downwind to 16, touch and go.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is at the Garfield stack at 5,800, inbound for landing.
Altimeter 300.
Oh, wait a minute. Kind of been getting blocked.
Yeah.
South Valley Regional Airport.
Automated weather observation 1614 Zulu.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 291 for X-ray, base 16, touch and go.
Gust 17, visibility 10, clear below 12,000, temperature 11 Celsius, 2.5, altimeter 3006.
3006.
South Valley Regional Airport.
Automated weather observation 1614
traffic, Cessna 291 for X-ray, final 16.
140 at 13, gust 17, visibility 10.
So runway 16. Still not doing it, huh?
Well, I just changed it to an event instead of a periodic. We'll see if that's what I needed to do. I haven't messed with a 4:30 scheduler for a while.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 489er 18, currently over Oaker Mountain Temple, 5,700 feet southbound towards the point of the mountain. South Valley traffic.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is over Magna at 5,700 feet, inbound for landing. Good old Magna.
Yep, home sweet home, huh? Oh, used to be anyway. With no kids out in the playgrounds.
Yep.
Loud and clear.
You can leave it however you want. I was just messing with it. So, however you want it to go.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is 6 miles northwest of the field, almost at the Whitewater Towers at 5,700, inbound for landing.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 160 Bravo Tango, taxiing to 163 Bravo from the North Hangar, South Valley.
I'll listen one more time.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 291 for X-ray, crosswind 16, touch and go.
Okay, 16. I just want to make sure I was thinking right.
Gusting to 18, that's a little bit of a healthy wind, but it's mostly down the runway.
Hey, when you connect your ADS-B device like this one to it, does it actually allow your weather to download into your airport on here? Is that how you get weather?
So you should be able to actually change the layers up here and like put on the radar composite up here.
Well, that'll show you like clouds and stuff, right? And rain.
Yeah, it's
but like, will it actually download this stuff?
Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be. Do you have a data plan on your iPad?
No.
Yeah. See, otherwise you wouldn't get this right now. It's giving you ADSB right here.
Okay. Cool. Oh, it says it underneath.
One Juliet is just north of the Garfield Stack, inbound for South Valley, 6,200.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is 3.5 miles west of the field at 5,700. Going to swing around and enter a 45 for right downwind 16.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 2910 X-ray, establish midfield downwind 16, touch and go.
I see him.
He looks like he's the only one in the pattern, so as far as I can tell.
Well, it tells me traffic 9 o'clock, my altitude, so it works.
Yep. Yeah, you don't realize what you're missing until you fly without it, and you go, man, that thing's cool.
Yeah, when I did that Cessna was all glass for my instrument. I had it right there on the screen.
Yep.
I got used to it, and then when I started renting, I'm like, man, I want that back.
Yeah, totally. I flew for, 15, 20 years without anything, and then all of a sudden you get the traffic, you're like, man, how many close calls did I have without even realizing it over the years?
Well, we had a close call with it the other day.
That's true.
You could see him on the video, too.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 2910 X-ray, close in base 16.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is entering the 45 for right downwind, runway 17. Okay, I switched gas. We're a little fast for the gear, but we're probably okay. We're at 120. So bring that down. It'll help us slow down.
Yep, that's the truth.
Prop full forward. And I'm going to do a tighter pattern than I normally do. And I'm dipping below the pattern altitude, which isn't good.
That gear will help you slow down, but it'll also help you go down if you don't have the power in.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 48918, 6,800, climbing 7,500 over Point of the Mountain, departing to the southwest. Final call. South Valley traffic.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's on downwind, runway 17. A little low, so I'm just gonna keep it at the altitude for a little longer.
It works.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie is turning right, base for runway 16, full stop. And I'm going to overshoot. No, I'm good.
Oh, you look alright. Takes a lot of heat, though.
South Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's on final for runway 16, full stop.
Okay, that looks like a pretty decent left cross, so. See how we're weather vaning into the wind? So that's fine if you're going to do the kick out, but just I'm trying to point it out to you so you can see what's going on.
Yeah, I see. Okay. So I want to do right rudder and left aileron.
Got it, yeah. If you're going to do the slip or the kick out, whatever you're going to do.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 291 X-ray, crosswind 16, touch and go.
Okay, so a little right rudder to straighten yourself out. Alright. And just keep that aileron into the wind.
Oh. Valley traffic, Arrow 28 Mike Charlie's clear of active runway at Alpha 3, taxiing to FBO.
South Valley traffic, Cessna 291 X-ray, entering downwind 16 touch and go.
Need to start dreaming about landing gear, you know? 3 and green, gear down, 3 and green, gear down. I look at them, but I don't call it out. That's I need to do that.
Well, I mean, it obviously is good that you're at least looking, you know? Because I pulled that breaker on that one, and we didn't really catch it on the downwind, but you did get it on the base, which is good, and that's the whole point, where hopefully one of the three you get it. Whether it's the first or the last, just to make sure.
Traffic, Cessna 291 X-ray, turning close in base, 16 touch and go.
Alright, leave that running for a little bit. Stopping engine. Let's see.
South traffic, Cessna 291 X-ray, final 16 touch and go.
South Valley traffic, Cherokee 71 Juliet's just west of the Brickyard, 5,800, going to set up for the 45.